new chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Man is it in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one.
Lady James, St. James.
She know the struggle, she feel the pain. Working hard through sun and rain. With Dolly's heart and Dolly's drive.
St. Anne's City Hall.
Truly try. Dolly, we moving with you. St. Anne's coming true.
PNM family.
Dolly deliver strong and true.
PNM family, if you're ready to vote for the PNM in the next 4 days and bring us back into government, say great is the PNM. If you are proud to belong to a party with a political leader like Dr. Keith Rowley, a prime minister like Stuart Young, senior counsel, a lady vice chairman like the Attorney General Camille Robinson Regis, say great is the PNM. If you are proud to see these women on this stage tonight, the next MP for St. Augustine, Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal, the next MP for Saparia, the next MP for Arima, say great is the PNM. And if, like me tonight, you were so proud of Francine daughter, a daughter of Diego Martin West, someone who has distinguished herself as a councillor and now leads the borough of Diego Martin, say great is the PNM for Aquila. PNM family, this election is just a few days away. Wake up and shake up. Tell your neighbor, red is the word. Tell them on April 28th, we not playing with our vote. When I say PNM, you say vote PNM, PNM. And when I say vote, you say PNM, vote, vote, vote. Great is the PNM. PNM family, I'm drinking my water because we have some business to mind come April the 28th. You ready to mind your business? You ready to do the business? Your voting finger ready? Put it in the air, let me see. You're now singing like the PNM army we have to be if we are going to be victorious on April the 28th. Because crowds don't win elections. What wins elections? What wins elections? What wins the election? I want to say a word to the mothers tonight. How many mothers do we have in the crowd? And if you're not a biological mother, you're a PNM woman, and PNM women always have some children somewhere. So if you're a mother, put your hands in the air now. Yes, Councillor Nicole Young, yes. I want to speak to the mothers in the time that I have tonight, because there is something that disturbs me about what is happening with the psyche of our people and with the mindset of our children. And that is important for us to understand. In 1962, the People's National Movement was focused on education as a way to break the cycle of poverty. What is the first word in the name of this party? People. People at the heart, at the front of our party. And education was one way that we knew we had to use that to break the cycle of poverty in Trinidad and Tobago. And I dare say that has worked well for us. But 63 years later, we face a different threat. It is not that we don't have schools. We have the schools. But our children are going to these schools, some of them, and they are not getting what they need to get from these schools. All sorts of problems, all sorts of distractions. And therefore the PNM, the party that has always made it important to develop our young people, we have looked at different ways to deal with that problem. Because if you don't have education, you don't have a ticket. And if you don't have a ticket, you don't have a... And we want your children to have a chance. So in the education sector, we set about to ensure that the children who needed it most, especially after COVID, they got the attention they needed. And we set about to ensure that we put more guidance counselors. Counselor Young, she's a counselor and a counselor. She's a double counselor. Give her a round of applause. Working hard in our schools to help our children. Because we understand that if our children do not take their chance at education, they will end up as the tail. But the Bible told us and the PNM told us that our children will be the head and not the tail. And we as the PNM decided we will spend our money in the schools and not the jail. Declare it upon your children. So the problem is not schools now, it's what's happening in the school. And we decided we will help that problem. We will put more social workers. We will put more guidance counselors. We will train our teachers differently so that your children, my children, could take advantage of the opportunity of education. There will be equity in education opportunity. But sometimes parents, and I'm speaking to you mothers out there, not every child takes the part that they should. Some children need a little more support. They lose their way a little bit. And sometimes they end up on social media doing things that they shouldn't. And I have looked at the comments when some of our children end up on social media. I have looked at some of the nakedly racist, horrible, terrible comments. Have you seen them? And they love to say, look at the Balize children. Have you seen that? You know why they're gloating? They are gloating because they want your children to continue doing that. Because if your children doing that, they're not taking the opportunity for education. And your children will stay as the tail and not as the... But the PNM declares that your children will be the head and the tail, not the tail. So we have been doing the work to ensure that we reach your children in the schools. More than that, the PNM has taken decisions, and look at our leader there, our political leader, who as Prime Minister took a decision to establish an entire Ministry of Youth Development, understanding the problem that we had 62 years after we became a nation. And that ministry, that entire ministry is dedicated to ensure that your children have a second chance. My children must have a second chance. Because suppose they didn't get what they're supposed to get in the education system, does that mean that their whole life must now be on the bottom? No. The PNM says no. The PNM says even if your children did not get what they needed in the education system, there is a Ministry of Youth. There is a second chance for our children, because that is the PNM way. We will not relegate our children to failure. And the Ministry of Youth Development has set about reopening the youth camps that were closed. We met them closed in 2015. Why? Why were they closed? Because there are people in this country who do not want our children to have a second chance. There are people in this country who don't want the status quo broken, but they may not want your children to succeed. They may not want your children to progress, but the People's National Movement has always been about your children, always been about my children, always been about the progress of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is one reason, mothers, if for no other reason, you should get up on April the 28th and get out there with your children and vote solidly for the People's National Movement. Do it for your children. Do it to protect their future. Because if we lose our second chance in this country for our children, then we leave them to be the tail. Equity is what is required to ensure that every creed and race, every child has the chance to progress and to succeed. And where children need more help, they get more help. And they can become productive citizens too. You have heard the success stories coming out of Milat. You have heard us as a government say that we will proceed to deal with a girls' Milat, a Milat for girls. You heard us say we will expand Milat. Why? Because because we understand when the PNM says we love you, so we take good care of you only. The PNM understands it's not just a song for us. It is our ethos. It is how we serve. And so mothers, I appeal to you. If you want better for your children, if you want your children to be the head and not the tail, if you want to see programs continue in the education sector, in the youth training sector, to give your children a second chance, then you have a responsibility to vote for the People's National Movement. So tonight, when we consider our future, then you're voting on April the 28th, if for nothing else, to protect the future for your children. Mothers, I call out to you tonight to do your part to ensure that your children's future is protected. Do I have your agreement? Will you vote for the People's National Movement? Will you carry your children to vote for the People's National Movement? Will you protect your future? Will you be first in line on April 28th? And if that is so, then on that night, we will all be able to celebrate, we the PNM, we the mothers, with our children, as we return the PNM to governance, and we will all say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we the people of Trinidad and Tobago shall prevail.
This is a movement, we all in together, not just so one, my sister, my brother, bodies in your hand.
This is a new chapter. Join us on the road to victory. On Thursday, April 24, Sangre Grande. Meet us at the PTSC terminal. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.